Ease, we're all about calculating the best high for you. Ran out of shows to watch for the second time this week? Order an indica pre-roll. Social distance park hang? Pair that awkward picnic with a vaporizer. See, we're like your weed guy, but 420% nerdier. So just worry about when you're going to take that edible and let us do the rest. Ease, highly calculated cannabis delivery. Get 30% off your first order with promo code NERD at ease.com. That's EAZE.com. At Ease, we're all about calculating the best high for you. Ran out of shows to watch for the second time this week? Order an indica pre-roll. Social distance park hang? Pair that awkward picnic with a vaporizer. See, we're like your weed guy, but 420% nerdier. So just worry about when you're going to take that edible and let us do the rest. Ease, highly calculated cannabis delivery. Get 30% off your first order with promo code NERD at ease.com. That's EAZE.com.
Hey everybody, and welcome to the podcast. So, tonight is going to be our first weekly live stream. So, Wednesday we did the Ask Me Anything session, and I was saying that every Sunday we would jump into and make it a full-on live stream, hour and a half type deal to wrap up the news, etc., etc. So that's where we're at tonight. And for those of you out there who are going to be joining me on Facebook Live, I will be turning that camera on in 1 second, and we will be getting things underway. For those of you who are just joining me on the podcast, welcome. I figured we'd add this video option here. I know a lot of people are into just the podcasting, and I get it. I'm kind of like that myself. I'm not really big on watching too many videos when it comes to long-form talks, but here we are. Some people like them, so I figured I would incorporate them on Sundays, and that is exactly what we're going to do. So let's get this video started, and let's start having a bit of a chat about what went down this week, the case in general, and anything else that you folks want to talk about. All right, so that video is starting up now, kicking in now, and well, there you go. Had to flip the phone around there. They weren't too happy about the phone going the other way, so here we are. All right, everybody, welcome to the show. How's everybody doing tonight? I hope well. Crazy weekend, huh? First weekend of 2021. 2021, and things are off to a decent start, right? Could be better, could be worse. I know that Carrie's mom is in a recovery home. She had a stroke a little bit after Carrie was first diagnosed, and they were all just distributed the vaccine. So that's definitely a positive, right? I think that all of the people who are at risk should definitely get that vaccine as soon as possible, in my opinion. Hey, Pop, what's going on, buddy? Nice to see you. How's your evening going? So, yeah, it's rocking and rolling. It's definitely a good situation when people like that get to start having the vaccine administered and start opening it up to go and visit them, because Carrie hasn't been able to really see her mom. She has to see her through this. They had this partitioned plastic, plexiglass partition that they had. And that's what she was stuck seeing her mom through. So she wasn't able to really see her too often. And it's been really hard for everybody. So hopefully kicking off this new year with this vaccine for the people most at risk, I think that's definitely a step in the right direction. At this point, anything to get her to see her mom, right? What about you folks? How's the year starting for everybody out there? Everybody have a good start to their year? Hey, Hillary, what's going on? Pleasure to see you tonight. Yeah. I'm getting a couple of questions here via email as well. And people are fired up about Zorro Ranch, folks. People are fired up about that place. And I get it, right? If anyone if anyone gets it, it's me. I mean, what in the hell is going on in this place? Nobody raids it or anything like that. It's just, sits there empty besides a few workers, but no raiding, no investigation. The state doesn't care, obviously. They haven't even shown the least bit of interest in raiding the place or initiating a real investigation. Oh, they were like, we'll kick it off to the feds and we'll let the feds run with it. So, you know how that goes, gets lost in the sauce, and then the feds, well, how the feds roll. Up until recently, you couldn't count on them to do shit. Pop, I am not too sure about it selling or not. But besides the Zillow information and the stuff that was presented here, I couldn't really find anything more on that. So I was I'm going to look a little bit deeper and see if I could find out anything more about it being sold. But you would think that would be something that would be talked about with the compensation fund, and in some of the articles that we see, that would be something that they would touch on, you would think, right? But who knows? So I'm going to dig a little deeper. I sent a couple of emails out to try and get some confirmation as well. And as soon as I know, I will definitely let you guys know right away, either on the podcast, or I'll post it here on the Facebook page, or I'll post it on my Twitter page or something like that. But any which way you chop it up, as soon as I find out, you guys will find out as well. Justin, what's going on, buddy? How you doing? Hi, Sonia. What's up, MC? Man, you guys got me out here drinking energy drinks at 7 o'clock at night. I'm going to be up all night. I'm supposed to go climbing at like 4 in the morning. But this whole entire Zorro Ranch situation is bananas. Yeah, Hillary, it's weird, right? It's posted there, but if you dig a little deeper and you try and, pull records and stuff, it doesn't seem to be anything there that's tangible. So like I said, I sent a couple of emails out to some people in real estate, and I don't know, hit or miss, right? 50-50. Sometimes people will answer, sometimes they won't, but who knows? I fired them off, and we will see. But I can tell you definitely who doesn't like to answer emails, and that's the Attorney General of New Mexico. That guy didn't want anything to do with answering any emails when I was in New Mexico, and even afterwards, I still haven't heard from those people. So, yeah, the masking up. We've been doing that here in Las Vegas for a while now. Everywhere. I mean, I see people on the news talk about, people aren't wearing masks, and I'm sure there are some people that aren't wearing masks, right? But everywhere I go, people are wearing masks. I mean, and I'm out and about quite a bit. So I think it's a good idea, right? Why not wear it, throw the thing on? Certainly doesn't hurt, in my opinion. Now, a lot of people want to use it as a political tool. You know me, I'm not playing that shit. I'm going to do what I think's best for me. So, oh, Norway, what's going on? Welcome to the show. God, Norway's a beautiful place. I got to get out there at some point. Nicola, thank you for popping in. It's always nice to see you. And Tarnia, I see you. When you popped in, you snuck in the back door over there. Don't think you're sneaking in without me seeing you. I saw you. Yeah, look, it's crazy. I mean, Australia is one of those places where, you'd think on an island and it would be a lot easier to control something like this, but who the hell knows? This shit is all bananas, right? I certainly don't have any answers. I mean, my advice to everybody is to try and wade through the bullshit and just do what you think is best for you and your family. If everybody does that, wash your hands, right? That's pretty obvious shit. Wash your goddamn hands. Don't cough on nobody. If you're sick, stay home. The basic shit, just do it. And what more can we do besides that, right? Yeah, we're getting waxed in Nevada. I think we have like a 22% positivity rate, and there's all kinds of people getting sick. Hey, look, this is, there's going to be people that, oh, this isn't real, or there's no virus. Of course there's a virus. And then on the other side, you have people acting like if you leave the house and then you come back home, you're going to give your whole family airborne Ebola and everybody's going to die. So there's no medium anymore, right? There's no sanity. It's just crazy nonsense from every which way, and you're left to try and figure out what the hell the truth is, right? So, again, basic hygiene. Exactly, Tarnia. Basic damn hygiene. Wash your hands. Pretty simple. In fact, it's such a skill of mine, it's on my resume, in fact. Washing my hands. I'm a manic hand washer. I always have been. I hate germs. I don't like people around me in the best of times. So I've been practicing social distancing for about, a decade or more. So it's been the same old shit for me. But there's a lot of noise, right? And people are going to continue to use this kind of stuff as a political football, but I don't know, not me. This is a little too serious for that kind of BS in my opinion. There's obviously a virus, right? There's something that's making people ill. So we have to try and figure out a happy medium. We have to work. We have to go to work, right? What are we going to do? Stay home the rest of our lives? We got to go to work. We have to try and live our lives. And I think that the healthy people amongst us, well, we should go and carry the burden and make sure that those of us who are sick or who are ill, that they're protected via vaccines or some sort of severe social distancing until we can get a handle on things, whatever it may be. But we have to find a happy medium, right? It's never the loudest side on either end of the aisle, like we always talk about on the podcast. It's always the real people who are going to enact change are the people that are sane, right? The people that hear a good idea and they're like, oh, that's a good ass idea. Let's put that into action. Not, oh, I better go and check with my political party. What do the blue check marks on Twitter think about this? That's never going to get anyone anywhere. So I don't know about all that. All I could say is this. Me personally, I've been wearing a buff or a mask since before the CDC advised it, just because I understand viral load, and I know that the buff isn't going to keep me from being sick. It'll stop me from getting too sick though because of the viral load. So, man, Pop, I don't know. I hope soon. I really hope Vegas is back to normal soon. But, we're a tourist town, right? And we're a town that relies on people coming to concerts and shows. And when you have places that only have a 25% capacity right now, it's impossible for these companies to pick up that overhead. It'll cost them so much money to put on a production, say a concert. And if you're not making any money when you put that production on, it's pointless, right? So that's the conundrum Vegas finds itself in. And until people are comfortable coming here and until the authorities start coming out with some positive messages, like somebody like, say, Dr. Fauci comes out and says, all right, this vaccine's working, or we have a grip on it, a handle on it, then I think Vegas will start to see a bit of normalcy. But not until then. And I think it's going to be, unfortunately, a long road to hoe for us here in Vegas. Yeah, no doubt, Sonia. I understand exactly what you mean. You definitely don't need to clarify that statement. One death is too many, right? And until it's your loved one or your family member, it's easy to sit on the internet and talk shit one way or the other. Or, oh, I would do this or I would do that. But until you're affected directly by something, then it's a whole different ballgame. But for sure, one life is way too many lives. Yeah, no, Rob, it's a balance, man. It's definitely a balance that we have to walk on. We're on the knife's edge, right? And I think that if people have comorbidities and they have, doctors have said that they're sick and they're at risk for catching this virus, there should be a safety net for people like you. Some sort of universal basic income while this pandemic is raging. You didn't ask for this shit. You didn't ask for this virus to kick in, right? And then, I know there'll be, conservatives, oh, that's socialism, and not really, all right? I look at the United States at this point like it's a gigantic corporation and we're all shareholders. And when something like this goes down, they're just giving us our money back anyway, right? They're just holding our shit as it is. Taxation is theft as it is, right? So when there's a pandemic like this, there has to be some sort of safety net for people. We've never experienced anything like this before, certainly in our lifetimes. So it's all fine and well to be, strap yourself up, pick yourself up from your bootstraps. And I'm normally like that as well, right? Because there's usually a ton of opportunity and there's jobs and there's not a pandemic raging and, people can find jobs for the most part. But right now in situations like this, I think that a little bit of compassion and human decency goes a long way. And if people are at risk of catching this virus and it's truly as bad as the government is telling us it is, then there has to be a safety net and a process to make sure we're protecting the most vulnerable amongst us. Isn't that what the whole entire stop the curve, bend the curve was about originally? So, yeah, it's definitely a balancing act, dude. And I get it on both sides. I get why people are stay home, save lives. I understand the concept, right? I get it. But you also have to understand that people have to work, especially people that are just scraping by as it is. And a lot of people they don't seem to get that. And unfortunately, it seems to be people who haven't even missed a paycheck throughout this whole entire thing, right? I think you're right. And I mean, UBI is something that I think is coming down the pipe. And the sooner we get behind it and figure out a way to properly administer it, I think we'll be ahead of the curve. But I think you're right. I think we're definitely leaning that way. And we have to grow as a society, right? And people have to understand that just the things inside of your echo chamber aren't the only good things in the world. Like, because somebody has a different political opinion than you doesn't make them bad or make them an evil person. Maybe they just have different life experiences. You know what I'm saying? But we definitely have to start thinking about a UBI, in my opinion. I agree, of some sort. And, people will say, oh, well, that's a redistribution of wealth. But I don't think that the people should pay for it. I think that these banks should pay for it. The financial scumbags that I'm always railing on, they should pay for it. And all of these companies that shirk their taxes and set up offshore, they should have to pay for it. Not the American people. I want the American people, all of us, to reap the benefits of it. Kind of like in Alaska every year. Because of the oil money, right? They all get a payout at the end of the year. We're a corporation and we bring in $22 trillion a year. How the hell is anyone living on the streets? I'm going to have to check that out, MC. That Jonas Spilbor, I had an update where I discussed that article and broke it down point for point. I think it was yesterday. So many articles these days, I don't even know where I'm at half the time. But her opinion is just, she's entitled to it, right? Let's be real. She's entitled to her opinion, and she is a criminal defense lawyer who that's her life, that's her job, right? That's her livelihood. Making sure the system continues to run the same way the system is running. Excuse me. And that's her livelihood. That's how she makes a living. So I understand why she would want to defend the establishment. But for us, and from the way we're seeing this, we understand that it's wrong and it needs to be fixed. And just because that's the way we used to go along to get along, and that's the way the system has been set up, doesn't mean that's the way it has to stay, right? If we aren't going to raise hell about it, who's going to do it? Yeah, Anna, no, you're absolutely right. Look, I'm the first to admit, I was a big proponent of trickle-down economics, and I was a fan of Reagan, and I got gaslit into voting for Bush the first time around. But I learned my lesson real quick when I started to really peel back the layers, and the Gulf War, the second Iraq War, was what really blew the lid off for me and made me truly understand that the whole entire dynamic between the parties was BS. They're all the same, basically, right? The neocons and the neoliberals. It's all about the military-industrial complex. And for us, well, they'll let us eat war, like Bad Religion says. They don't care about us, you, your uncle, your mother. We're just pawns on a table for them. And even Epstein was just a pawn on a table. And that's why when people are like, oh, Epstein's alive, and he wasn't that powerful, right? Not powerful enough for that to occur. He was just another asset that got burned. And we're even less than that to them. So, it's crazy. It's really a crazy situation. Yeah, you know what? Look, Sonia, like I always say, people they're entitled to their opinions. Everybody is, right? That's what I do here. I give you folks my opinion, and it's totally how things should be. There should be discourse, right? I want my confirmation biases challenged, and I want them challenged forcefully. That way I get to the meat and potatoes of things. That's why whenever I want something to be real, I am super critical of it. That way, I am really taking a hard look at it, and I'm not just sitting in an echo chamber, and I'm not just banging refresh on the news sites that I feel comfortable reading, because that's not the type of person I am. I've learned to become comfortable being uncomfortable, right? And I think stepping out of your echo chamber and getting others' opinions and speaking with other people who might have a radically different worldview than you is a good thing. So I try to do that as much as possible. And that's one thing I really like about the podcast. I mean, I have people from all walks of life that are listeners and followers of the podcast who send me emails. I mean, hardcore communists to a QAnon, where we go one, we go all type people. And I think the idea is to try and respect everybody, right? I try to respect everybody as an individual. And even if I don't agree with your opinion, or if I find your opinion batshit crazy even, I'm not going to attack you for that, as long as you don't try and gaslight me and tell me that your opinion's fact. And there's just way too much of that shit going on these days. And you see it not only with this case, we see a lot of it, but you see it just in general. And it's an absolute stretch of the imagination when people start throwing their opinion out there and just using it like it's a fact. It boggles my mind that people don't get called out more by their audiences. But then it comes back to, like we talk about, the confirmation bias, right? People become cognitive dissonant, and they'll just scrunch up and buffet that confirmation bias because it makes them feel good. With no evidence, right? With no evidence. The idea is to at least have circumstantial evidence. You know what, Sonia? I don't think anyone should shame anybody, really, right? What's the point in that? I mean, it's ridiculous. If you don't think that these people who are telling their story are being truthful, what's the point in being an epic dickhead and assaulting them on social media, or calling them prostitutes, or trying to egg them on into some BS, stupid, pedantic internet argument? These people missed the boat with me. If they wanted to argue on the internet with me, they should have been around during the AOL chat room days. I would have gladly eviscerated them, made them cry, and then showed up at their house if they wanted to fight. I mean, they missed the boat a long time ago with that shit. You know, that's for when you're a kid. Now, if people don't approach me correctly with intelligent discourse, I will ignore them. As you have seen time and time again on Twitter, I just ignore people like that. Big PDO, what's up, Petey Greenballs? Now, this guy Pete Testa here that just popped in, one of my dear friends for a very, very, very long time. Solid paisano, back from the, East Coast like my family. His family's from Jersey. Good to see you here, PDO. Always great to see you, pal. Candace, what's going on? And Jen, well, I saw you sneak in over there with that kangaroo while you thought I didn't see you. Come on, just like Tarnia. You ladies from down under think you're smooth. You're not. I'm on to all of you and your little tricks. I was just ranting like usual, and I didn't want to, interrupt my beard as it was quacking away. It gets agitated when I do that. And, he's a touchy son of a bitch, so I have to be careful. Yeah, it's just, where I don't even know what to say half the time, right? With these people that get on Twitter and act the fool. I had some idiots try and goad me today. It was hilarious. I mean, the funniest thing is because people get really mad if you don't answer them. And that is my absolute favorite thing in the whole world to do. Watch them get absolutely fired up when I ignore them. They all turn into like Stan from the Eminem video, the song from Eminem back in the day, right? If you don't give them the attention they think they deserve. Breaking news. If you're not going to talk like an intelligent human being, we are not going to have discourse. Yeah, you know that, PDO. You know how I am, man. Once I sink my teeth into something, I just go hard in the paint. And especially considering the way that they treat our people, right? If our relatives get caught up in RICO, you know as well as I do what happens. But Jeffrey Epstein can go on this sick, disgusting rape, this rape escapade, trafficking escapade, abusing children, and the dude gets 13 months, and that time is all he's getting out at the same time while he's in there for all day, 6 days a week? Nah, bro. Negative. Never gonna happen. Yeah, Jen, I saw that. You guys get them all riled up. They really love getting fired up by you and Lisa and the other gals. I just sit back and laugh at all of it. You know me, I don't engage in any of it. But, I mean, people are crazy. Yeah, I don't, honestly, they're honestly crazy. There are a lot of crazy people out there. I mean, there are a lot of issues, right, that I can understand trying to troll people on. Politics. Is there really any debate at this point that Jeffrey Epstein was abusing girls? Who's debating this? And if you are, you should probably, honestly, go get an MRI or a CAT scan and make sure the old bean's working correctly. Yeah, hey, Pete, Pete, the stories are just scratching the surface, bro. The real stories that you get from the actual survivors, the girls that went through this stuff, are enough to just make you honestly ill. Oh yeah, Nicole, you're definitely one of their favorites as well. You guys get them all kinds of fired up, and then your friend Halls gets them going as well. Me, I was cracking up today. I'm sitting there watching the Jets blow a football game like usual, by the way. And I see my name mentioned, and I'm like, well, what? Who are you? First of all, I don't even know who you are. Second of all, zero chance you and I are ever going to have any discourse whatsoever. Okay? Zero chance. I don't owe anybody anything, first of all. Okay? Second of all, I beat to my own drum. Oh, yeah, Ghislaine's Maxwell's for sure. Ghislaine's lawyers for sure. That's all they're doing is throwing shit at the wall, right? Trying to throw a little bit of spaghetti against the wall to see if it sticks. It's not about guilt or innocence. It's about technicalities and loopholes. And the only way that these people ever get off on their bullshit is because of this stuff. If the glove don't fit, you must acquit. Is there anyone who thinks that O.J. Simpson didn't kill Nicole Simpson? I mean, really? I watched the trial. I saw what was going on. But it's all about technicalities. And if you have the right amount of dough, forget it. The sky's the limit. The sky is the limit if you have the right amount of money in this country. Doesn't matter what your crimes are or what your misdeeds are. Unless, of course, they want to make an example of you. Then all bets are off. Once they want to make an example of you, then it does not matter how much money you have. All bets are off. And we're seeing a lot of that happening now. And to be honest with you, the people that it's happening to, they all deserve it. Yeah, look, like I said, Jen, it's just wild. Yeah, Robert Kardashian definitely was involved with the OJ case. I don't know to tell you the truth, I don't remember if Dershowitz was involved with OJ. I wouldn't be shocked, honestly, though. The guy's involved with pretty much every scumbag in the history of the world, it would seem like. The dude's is there a person that's grosser than the human crypt keeper, Alan Dershowitz? Old boy's walking around like at any moment, if he coughs, his whole entire rib cage is going to come up in a puff of smoke. I mean, is this dude for real? Yeah, see, there you go. Like I always tell you folks, I really wasn't into this kind of stuff before this case. I was, more a meat and potatoes kind of Middle East, Near East policy kind of person. But the more you dig into it, and as much time as I spent on it now, it's obvious that all of these people, Dershowitzes of the world, they're all in bed with each other one way or the other. And they're all just sick. How can so many people be so sick? That's the real question. when that whole entire Dershowitz situation was starting with Trump, when Trump brought Dershowitz on, I honestly could not believe the stupidity of it all. Who in the hell would bring on Alan Dershowitz as their lawyer at this point? Are you kidding me right now? Especially considering you already have your own ties to Epstein, but it's a good idea to bring Dershowitz on. All right. That sounds good. No, yeah. Dershowitz and Les Wexner right up there. They're battling for the Human Crypt Keeper Lich Award. There's zero doubt about it. They're just gross individuals. Can you imagine Les Wexner owns that company where he's selling like lingerie and nighties to little girls for all of those years? But at the same time, old boy got the keys to the kingdom he gave Jeffrey Epstein the keys to the kingdom, and then tells Jeffrey Epstein, oh yeah, you're in charge of my finances right now. What? You're one of the most powerful men on Wall Street. You're one of the most hot shit CEOs going. But you need Jeffrey Epstein to be in charge of your money? It doesn't make sense to me. It never has made sense to me. And when I first started looking into this case, it was one of the things that sparked me getting deeper into this and digging deeper, because there's no way. There's no way. All you have to do is read the profile for a guy like Leon Black or Les Wexner or insert any other scumbag here. And these guys are power hungry, but all of a sudden, they're giving their power, they're giving the keys to the castle to Vin Diesel from the Boiler Room. Not even Vin Diesel from the Boiler Room. A wannabe turn and burner. It doesn't make sense. I don't buy it. And that narrative being pushed, I never thought that was a proper narrative. Like, you're the legacy media with all of the resources in the world. You're the New York Times. You're the Washington Post, whatever, right? All of those resources. You don't dig deeper into those comments. You don't go further into those comments. You're just like, oh, okay, well, we hit a brick wall. That's the end of it. I would think that they'd have a bunch of reporters that would want to get to the bottom of this story. Is there a more salacious story, maybe ever? All of these people that are caught up in this, that could be, their fingers could be pointed at, and that they could be connected to Jeffrey Epstein. And I don't just mean hanging out, having a drink with him, right? I'm talking about having an intimate relationship with him, like Les Wexner did. But the media doesn't seem interested. And it makes you wonder, right? It really makes me wonder, that's for sure. And I figure if I keep shaming the media, eventually maybe they'll do their job. Maybe if I destroy enough of their articles when they start with their bullshit, that eventually they'll be shamed into doing their job correctly. No, you're right. None of them needed Epstein. And I have a new article that I'm going to be reading tomorrow morning. And it's from an outlet called Wall Street on Parade. And we're going to dig more into the IPOs. And we're going to talk more about how they were underwritten by these banks. And that's a huge deal, dude. When these banks are underwriting that stuff.
At Ease, we're all about calculating the best high for you. Ran out of shows to watch for the second time this week? Order an indica pre-roll. Social distance park hang? Pair that awkward picnic with a vaporizer. See? We're like your weed guy, but 420% nerdier. So just worry about when you're going to take that edible and let us do the rest. Ease, highly calculated cannabis delivery. Get 30% off your first order with promo code NERD at ease.com. That's EAZE.com. At Ease, we're all about calculating the best high for you. Ran out of shows to watch for the second time this week? Order an indica pre-roll. Social distance park hang? Pair that awkward picnic with a vaporizer. See? We're like your weed guy, but 420% nerdier. So just worry about when you're going to take that edible and let us do the rest. Ease, highly calculated cannabis delivery. Get 30% off your first order with promo code NERD at ease.com. That's EAZE.com.
It's almost a guaranteed profit for the person who is being afforded those stocks. So Epstein and his company, his little slush company, they'd get these stocks, they'd turn them, they burn them, and then that money would be used to keep the enterprise rolling, right? And nobody knew the better. No, they paid no taxes on this stuff, probably. Not the right amount of taxes. And it just goes on and 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 on. And up until this new bill was just passed, this NDAA bill that had the AML legislation put into it, that nothing had changed in decades. Yeah, follow the money. It's just like with anything else, right? If you're a cop and you're working a drug beat and you're in a neighborhood where there's a bunch of drug activity, there's drug dealers, et cetera, if you follow that money, you're going to end up at the dope house. And you're going to end up where the bag boy is keeping that money, right? Now, if you do the same thing in business and you follow this dirty money, it's inevitably going to lead you to one of these dirtbag CEOs who was a huge sponsor, just so happened to be a donor to insert politicians here. And it doesn't matter the side of the aisle. We got to get away from all of that shit. We got to get out of that nonsense. And I know it's hard right now because everyone's hypersensitive politically. And if somebody steps out of line just even for a second, people want to castigate them as a communist or a fascist but we got to get out of that. We got to get away from all of that because these people that are involved with people like Epstein, they don't care about if you voted for a Democrat or a Republican. All they care about is the consolidation of power and making sure that they don't cede that power. Once you give power to these people, they never give it back willingly. That's just how government works. And our government, unfortunately, is certainly no different. And again, it doesn't matter what side of the aisle or who's in power or who is running things. It's always the same story. You and I, right here, everyone sitting here talking right now, we get screwed. And then 4 years from now, you're important again. And 3 years from now, you'll be told that your neighbor hates you again. And the cycle just keeps repeating itself, and that's how it's always worked. And now we find ourselves here. Oh, that's Dean Martin behind me. Yeah, that's my boy Dean Martin. Give him a little push on the button and he sings, but his singing is, he's losing his voice with age, shall we say. So back there I have my Dean Martin doll. I have a picture of Don Mattingly. There's a picture of Derek Jeter. Then Carrie is a Bills fan, so there's a Bills road sign back there. What else do we have going on back here? Let's see. Then up on the top, there's a Bronx Bombers, a Yankees thing. What else? And then up on the wall, if you could see up here, when Carrie was sick, her friends made her a bunch of pictures. And like this one, it says, "Happy, alive, and built to survive." And it has a pink ribbon. And when Carrie got done with her treatment, her friends presented her with all of these pictures, and it was really sweet of them. So we have those pictures throughout the house here. So yeah, that's some of the stuff that's in the back. Yeah, no, you're right about that, Candace. Who is the bag boy? Well, eventually I'll have the spare room set up for video, but you know, I'm turning the spare room into the studio right now. So it's a work in progress. I'm doing it myself and stuff like that. So it's taken some time, but it's certainly not set up for video. So I figured I'd just sit out here in the living room and, you know, I like that laundry setup, Jen. I'm telling you right now, you and Lisa, you have that, you know me, I like that, that nice and homey feel to it. Dean Martin's the man, right? Absolutely, Anna. See? We're here, Anna. You and I right here. Great minds and all. Dean Martin is absolutely the man. But I couldn't believe, speaking of like the pictures and stuff, how nice everybody was, how, you know, loving all of Carrie's friends were when she was diagnosed and how they rallied around her to help her. And she had so much support from her friends that I can't even imagine having that kind of support from my friends, honestly, right? I mean, I guess you have to not be an asshole to have that kind of support. So I guess I'm shit out of luck. Hey, you know what? The guy got to get a little something, right? I mean, it's bad enough that he has to hear about Epstein. I'm sure in your sleep, you roll over and you're blabbing a little bit about Epstein to the poor guy. So let him get his man cave on, right? Let him have a little bit of time for the footy game or whatever it is that he watches. Let my boy get it in. Does he like cigars? How about you get him a humidor and let him blow a couple of nice cigars in that room, huh? Me too. I love the Australian laundry too. I think that's epic. I think it's absolutely epic. I think it's perfect. I think there's way too many packaged and overproduced BS podcasts these days. And what's the point in that, right? What's the point in all of this written bullshit? And, oh, yeah, this is my podcast. It's all packaged by CBS. And F off. I come out, we bullshit, and I post this stuff. I don't edit it. I don't do any of that BS ever. Yeah, her first night, it wasn't bad, Rob. She said that it was busy, obviously. It was New Year's Eve. So it was pretty busy at her hotel, but it wasn't too bad, she was saying. Absolutely, Deirdre. The NPA is on the clock, right? As we would say, if there was a draft going on right now and your sports team was up getting ready to make the pick, the NPA is on the clock. And there's no doubt, the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals has to do the right thing here. I mean, our whole entire justice system rides on it, in my opinion. I know that sounds like hyperbole. And if people don't follow this case, they're probably like, come on, Bobby, really? You're taking it a bit far. But I truly believe that if we can't protect women and children, what sort of society do we live in? And furthermore, that's not a society that I'm going to be part of or want to be part of, that's for sure. Because I think that it's important to protect people who need to be protected. Yeah, and that's why I watch your guys' podcast and listen to your podcast, and it's one of the only other ones that I listen to. I don't have the time to sit around and go over the same BS over and over and over again. I just can't do it. Especially because we have things like this NPA that we're talking about right here, right now. This NPA is, I mean, it's not the be-all, end-all, right? Folks, let's not get carried away. If they decide to uphold it, that's not the end of things. That doesn't mean the investigation ends or the criminal case ends or anything like that. It just makes it harder to get prosecutions for those alleged crimes. I don't think that my uncle still speaks to the Tartaglionis. I will ask him tomorrow, though. I'll give him a call tomorrow and see if he still talks to them. I don't think so. And remember, it was the brother that he was friends with. Yeah, look, I'm like Tyrion Lannister, right? I have an affinity for crippled, bastards, and broken things. And I've always been like that. I've always stood up for people who were bullied. I've always, got involved if I saw something that I thought was wrong. That's just my makeup. That's how I'm built. And I'm not going to sit by after reading all the stuff that I've read and not be critical of how this was handled or how the news handles this shit. And some people, I'll tell you what, boy, there are some people that I honestly don't understand what's wrong with them. People like Geraldo Rivera. What is wrong with this guy? It makes me wonder, does somebody like Ghislaine Maxwell have dirt on somebody like Geraldo Rivera? We know he's not, the brightest guy in the world, right? And we know he took a chair to the mush back in the day that might have left some brain injuries or something, maybe. Maybe. But to come out and defend Ghislaine Maxwell with a full court assault, I think is one of the most ludicrous things and the weirdest mountain in the world to die on, right? Don't you, you want to die on a hill outside of your house? Why don't you choose Mount Everest or K2? What are you doing, Geraldo? Don't you have an Al Capone tomb to go and check out? A vault, I mean? Maybe find some more dust mites? You epic moron. And before I forget, I also meant to tell you guys, if you haven't watched the Andrew Schultz Netflix special yet, It is absolutely hilarious. Andrew Schultz is a funny MFer, and he has a ton of material about Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein and just cutting commentary about society. It's 4 15-minute parts, and I definitely think that you guys should check it out. I think most of you will really like it. Oh, yeah. The whole thing with Annie was ridiculous. I mean, Candace, I responded to that, to the ABC article by James Hill, and there's some articles that really I have to hold myself in check, right? I try to not be the street Italian that I usually am when I'm here with you guys, because I don't want to, offend anybody for the most part. But when it comes to stuff like that and trying to act like these girls are lying and they're just trying to get some money, and it just doesn't sit right with me, and I want to go double barrel and eviscerate these people, but it's counterproductive to come off as unhinged, right? You can have targeted emotion and some, well-placed rage, but I try not to come off unhinged too often. Angela, what is up? How you doing tonight there, Angela? Hopefully well. Yeah, Candace, Andrew Schultz is the man, right? Absolutely, positively the man. Carrie and I were dying when we were watching the Netflix special. Now, I had seen some of Andrew Schultz's stuff before, and I thought he was a pretty funny dude, but man, he's a funny-ass guy. And I highly suggest that episode. I mean, that special, because it's worth the hour that you're going to spend watching it. The commentary is cutting. His social commentary is absolutely cutting. And I find that it aligns with a lot of the things that I'm saying here on the podcast all the time about how if you get off of social media and you get out there into the streets, into the cities, until you see your neighbors, it's not your neighbors who are the problem. We don't hate each other. It's the media that's driving this shit home with a 24-hour news cycle, and people like Murdoch and Ailes over at Fox News and elsewhere figured out that it's better to pander to one side and split the electorate. It's called Andrew Schultz Saves the World, Sonia, and it was absolutely hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. You should check it out. And not just hilarious, like I said, the social commentary is spot on. He's not just, throwing out shit to be like, make it shocking statements, or he has really good cutting social commentary. And there's certainly not enough of that these days. But Andrew Schultz, he brings the lumber for sure. Oh, it definitely was insulting, Candace. 100%. What, you don't think Annie read that and she was like disgusted by it? I'm sure she was. I haven't talked to her about it. And like, as always, like I always say, I only speak for myself, and these are my opinions, but you would have to think she would be fired up. Angela, so look, I'm looking at probably 4 or 5 days in New Mexico, and right now I'm planning for a February 24th departure. So I think with the 4 or 5 days, considering the ground I've already covered, and having my bearings straight this time and having a game plan, I've actually sat down and I've already started a spreadsheet and put together a timeline and an itinerary to keep myself on target for when I do get down there. So I think with all of that in play, 5 days should be plenty to get out to the Santa Fe Institute like I want to. I'd like to take a ride out to Los Al as well. Obviously, not going to get on the base, but I just want to get an idea of, the drive from Zorro to Los Al. A couple of people that I want to speak with in Santa Fe, and a couple of people in Albuquerque as well. So that's the plan right now for New Mexico. And obviously with COVID and the pandemic, things can change. But that's where I'm circling the date as of now. Yeah, I guess, a lot of the folks want to head on out, and I totally I have no problem with that. Definitely would love to, meet up with everybody. If everybody's going to head out the same around the same time, we'll definitely get together. We'll shoot the shit, take a ride. I'll have a rental car for sure. I'm going to fly in, I think. I was thinking about driving, but I just don't have the time. I have a lot of other things that are going to be going on to start this year. So I don't want to, I want to make sure I'm using my time wisely. Yeah, no, I won't. Definitely the date that I actually go to the actual institute and stuff like that, that'll be something that's decided once I get there for sure. Just a basic idea of the dates around when I'm going. Yeah, the last time I was there, it was quite the adventure, Angela. I'll tell you what, from the time I stepped off that plane until the time I got back on the plane in Albuquerque to come home.
At Ease, we're all about calculating the best high for you. Ran out of shows to watch for the second time this week? Order an indica pre-roll. Social distance park hang, pair that awkward picnic with a vaporizer. See, we're like your weed guy, but 420% nerdier. So just worry about when you're going to take that edible and let us do the rest. Ease, highly calculated cannabis delivery. Get 30% off your first order with promo code NERD at ease.com. That's EAZE.com. At Ease, we're all about calculating the best high for you. Ran out of shows to watch for the second time this week? Order an indica pre-roll. Social distance park hang, pair that awkward picnic with a vaporizer. See, we're like your weed guy, but 420% nerdier. So just worry about when you're going to take that edible and let us do the rest. Ease, highly calculated cannabis delivery. Get 30% off your first order with promo code NERD at ease.com. That's EAZE.com.
I was slammed busy with work, talking to sources and trying to put my notes together, trying to get my head together. I was still really new at all of this at that time. February. I had only been doing this for like 4 months. Absolutely, Candace. Definitely if you want to fly in and all get together and try and figure out a game plan on figuring out what the hell really went on down in Zorro, for sure. Like I said, I'm gonna have some recording equipment. I'm gonna have my drone with me, all kinds of stuff. Yeah, at Los Al, me too. There's a lot of stuff going on in Los Al that really intrigues me. It always has. And I've always wanted to get out there anyway just to check it out. And I figure this will be the perfect time. So I'm going to scooch down and I'm going to check out Los Al for sure, without a doubt. I mean, I've been to Area 51. Might as well head down to Los Al as well. I wish Roswell was closer. I'd be bringing my ass out there too, just to say I went. But the location of Zorro Ranch and where Epstein chose to put it, it just sounds off a bunch of alarm bells for me. A bunch of alarm bells. Because it is desolate. He didn't have to, we know, register as a sex offender. And he had access to the Santa Fe Institute, which was a mere 47 miles away in Santa Fe. And then Los Al, which is, 60, 70 miles away. So it's, there's a lot more going on. I'm not too sure, Angela, about the distance to the Bronfman Church. I know that the Scientologists have a compound not too far from Epstein as well. I believe it's like 70 miles away in like Taos. So I am not too positive as far as the distance, but like I said, I'm going to have the rental car and I don't mind driving in open spaces. So I'm willing to travel to try and figure some things out. If there's people to talk to, people who want to share their stories out there, I'm willing to do the legwork to talk to them, because at this point I'm so invested in what's going on that have you ever it's like watching a movie at this point. I need to know the ending. Right? We haven't even gotten to the climax yet, and we're like in the meat of the story still. We're still doing like character background. I need to know what happened, bro. Do you mean how far is Stanley from Santa Fe? It's like 47 miles, but there's several ways that you can go. Like, I was rerouted the first time I went through like this back area, and it was even more desolate than the main drag. New Mexico is just a wild place. And the sad part is there's like a huge problem with indigenous girls going missing from reservations and stuff in Santa Fe. I mean, excuse me, in New Mexico. And there's no movement really, right? There's nobody showing up there to help these people, and it's really sad. Oh, Tom Ford's ranch is right there. It's like buttressed up against Jeffrey Epstein's. It's right to the north of it, I believe. And when you look from the gate, like the pictures that I've shared, and you're looking towards like where the house is, there's like 7 little houses. One's like a fake farm. I mean, a fake like firehouse. There's like a farmhouse. And when you're looking north, I believe that that's Tom Ford's property that way. You know, Rob, I think a lot of it is politics, unfortunately, bro. I think a lot of people are stuck in their echo chambers and they don't want to face the facts. They don't want to face the facts that there's a lot of gray characters and very, very, very few good guys, right? I mean, even the heroes of the story, the Eddard Starks of the story, are gray characters. And people don't want to find out that their hero worship has been misplaced. So when you have someone like Nancy Pelosi's daughter come out and say that some of our faves are going to be caught up in this, it tells you everything you need to know. And the rubber's going to meet the road here, I'll tell you that much. The rubber is going to meet the road with Biden being elected, and a lot of people who were claiming that others were biased are going to really have to put up or shut up at this point. SJWs are social justice warriors, Angela Foster. Social justice warriors. Basically Karens of the internet. Yeah, Comey's daughter is, I am not too much of a fan of Maureen Comey or Comey in general. He is the epitome of what we talk about when we talk about these corrupt, lifelong bureaucrats. And it has nothing to even do with politics. It's just all of them in general. You folks know how I felt about Bill Barr too. So it just doesn't matter to me. These people are all corrupt. These people are all, it's all kayfabe, right? It's all like a setup, like pro wrestling. Up until Trump, these people would act like they really hated each other, and then afterwards they'd be in the back room eating a steak and laughing at the rest of us for all the money being spent. Jehovah's Witnesses, that's something I certainly don't know anything about. The Jehovah's Witness sect is certainly something I don't know a thing about. I don't know much about religion in general. I grew up a Catholic, but I haven't been to church in a million years. Certainly, organized religion isn't my thing. If other people are into it and it brings them comfort, then I say go for it. But I find myself being more of an agnostic these days. But the situation there is just, I don't even know what to say. I just don't know what to say. Yeah, hey, Pop, look, I get it, man. It seems like it is a whack job story, right? I thought the same thing. I thought that this was a bunch of hooey. I thought it was a bunch of bullshit. And why would I invest my time into a story that's a bunch of bullshit? But as I dug deeper and I started to figure some things out, I realized that this wasn't a conspiracy theory. This was a cover-up. And like I always say, I'm not a journalist. I'm not acting like I'm breaking news like other people or telling you that I have some private information if you subscribe to, no, none of that jazz. I'm just a guy, a normal person like most of you guys. And even though I knew I sounded like a maniac when this story was first starting, I knew that if I followed through with the story and I kept going, that eventually it would prove to be what I thought it was, and that's a huge cover-up. So I'm glad you stuck with it, Pop, and I'm glad you stuck with me, and I'm glad that you gave me a chance to grow into the role of the host that I am today, because this wasn't something that I did all the time. I was involved in sports broadcasting, sports radio. I did a radio show here in town about MMA sometimes, and then I was on a podcast, a fight podcast. So I have had to grow into this role as well, and I'm certainly not perfect, right? I'm definitely not perfect. I make mistakes on a regular basis, but I think that when you give this story a real chance and you go into it with open eyes, and you realize that the people we're dealing with really are crazy psychopaths, then you understand that it's not that crazy of a story, right? So I don't know, man. All I could say is thanks for sticking with it, Pop, because you people out there, the listeners and the audiences, you folks are the reason why this case is still getting all the pub. Yeah, this organized religion stuff, I don't even know what to say about it. I feel really bad for people that are stuck in a situation due to their way they were brought up, right? Oh, your family's Jehovah's Witness, so you have to be. And then they get stuck in that cycle or whatever it may be. And they can't break the cycle, and if they do, they're ostracized, or in some cases, in some religions, you have honor killings. So religion is a realm that I don't swerve into. You know what it is, I think, Candace? I think it's easier just to ignore stuff like this. Nobody wants, this is heavy. This is a heavy topic, right? Who wants to invite this into their mind? You know, I talk about having a guardian safeguard your mind all the time, and that's what I'm talking about. You know, this is a heavy load every day to research this and to write about this and to talk about this. Not everybody wants to get involved, so I try not to be too, get too judgmental about it. Yeah, hey, look, I figure 2 episodes a day is plenty. I don't want to do more than that, really, right? I'll do the flashback episodes, but I think that unless we have a lot of news to cover, I think 3 is too much. And I don't want to, bury you guys in content. I know everybody has a life to live. So 30, 40 minutes in the morning, 30, 40 minutes at night, plenty. And then with all the old episodes, 900 now? Plenty to go back and, re-listen to or catch up on or any of that jazz. Hey, thanks, Hillary. I appreciate that. Like I said, if it was up to me, I would be talking about Game of Thrones right now, or something joyful that we could all sit here and have a bunch of laughs about. I could break out the vape. We could, catch a buzz or something together. That's what I really want to be doing, and that's what I plan on doing after this case is done. I'll still be talking about serious stuff, but I want to get to a point where we could all get together and talk about some good stuff for once, too. Thank you, Kristen. I appreciate that. I really do. And, when like you guys give me compliments and stuff, I'm not good at that kind of stuff, right? That's not really why I got into this. And I feel goofy even accepting like compliments sometimes, because I feel like I'm just doing what anyone should or would do. Yeah, they did mangle the end of Game of Thrones. They rushed it, no doubt, Rob. They could have went for 15 seasons. They cut out so much stuff. But the new series that's coming out, House of the Dragon, is all about Targaryen lore, and that is my shit right there. Yeah, thanks, Angela. Look, I get it. I understand, right? And I don't want to seem like I'm like, oh, well, I can't accept. It's just a weird situation for me to be in. Like, I'm kind of an introverted person, and I don't really do well with like being the center of attention ever, or, besides like public speaking, which I'm used to. I'm not really a big fan of like, people like cheering for me, or even if it's my birthday, like the secret happy birthday cake always embarrassed me. So it's just a weird role to find myself in, where I am, kind of forced to not be an introvert at this point, right? But you guys make it easy, honestly. I love doing this. I had a lot of fun on Wednesday. That's why we're here doing this again. It's a good way for us all to engage. And I want you folks to feel like you're part of it, right? I want you to feel like you're part of the podcast, because you are. Hell, without you guys listening, I'd just be, talking to my pops in the backyard like I used to. See, usually when I'm doing the podcast, I can pause and get a drink or cough or whatever. But since we're live, you folks just got to suffer through it. Me and my beard have to hydrate. Oh, man, I'll tell you what, I don't know about that. I have a friend who is the lead singer of the band Otherwise. And when we hang out, like after a concert or whatever, and there are people there like asking him for his autograph, and it's such a weird situation for me to see. I'm always like, how do you deal with that kind of stuff? Like, I don't know. It's just odd. The whole thing is odd to me. But as long as the message is getting out there and people are paying attention to what's going on, then I feel like I've done my little part, right? Some people feel like they get involved in things like this and they feel like they own the case or something. Me, I just want to do my little part. I want to do my little part and tell this story from my perspective. And that's what we do every night. We get on there, I read them articles, and I tell you folks how I feel about those articles. And it resonates with a lot of you, right? Doesn't mean I'm always right or 100% right, or my opinion's the only opinion that's out there. It's not. My opinion has morphed big time since I started this case. I mean, I started one place and I've ended up in a completely different place at this point. Ellen, it's like if we don't try and have a little bit of a laugh every now and then and break some chops, then we're really all going to be finished. I think as long as you're respectful of the situation and you're respectful of the girls and the survivors and the people who actually went through this, I think that there's a place for sarcasm and even humor, because in the most horrendous of situations, the darkest of days, we have to keep our sense of humor about us, right? We have to make sure that we're keeping on.
At Ease, we're all about calculating the best high for you. Ran out of shows to watch for the second time this week? Order an Indica pre-roll. Social distance park hang, pair that awkward picnic with a vaporizer. See, we're like your weed guy, but 420% nerdier. So just worry about when you're going to take that edible and let us do the rest. Ease, highly calculated cannabis delivery. Get 30% off your first order with promo code NERD at ease.com. That's EAZE.com.
Every firm says their people first, but we mean it. At West Monroe, you not only own your career, you become a company owner on day one. As a 100% employee-owned consulting firm, we all have a stake in our company's performance, and we all share in the success. We're looking for people who bring diverse opinions to the table and who set aside ego to champion great ideas, no matter who comes up with them. Start owning your career today at westmonroe.com/careers.
And we're not getting too cynical even, right? I know that's difficult, but, there is a place for biting sarcasm, and I try to stick to that. Not that I am aware of. I haven't heard anything about an upcoming court date for Ghislaine Maxwell at this point, besides the July one. But there might be something that pops up. Her and her attorneys are going to be throwing a bunch of garbage at the wall, hoping some of it sticks. We know that's coming. So who knows what kind of technicalities they're going to try and pull up. I talked to Maria yesterday, and I talked to her a little bit today. she's hanging in there. Maria is hanging in there. She's a tough cookie. And she's adamant about seeing this through. That's one thing I will say. Yeah, I live in Vegas. I have a little sister. She lives in Omaha, Nebraska, though. She actually works in domestic violence, and she works with, used to work with battered women. And she is definitely somebody who I look at in a whole different light after I started researching this case. I never understood what she did for a living, really. And that's my bad. That's my own ignorance for not digging deeper and not truly understanding how important her work was. But what she was doing and helping these battered women and these abused women, I can't imagine doing that on a daily basis. This is hard enough. What I do here is hard enough. So mad respect for my little sister, Jamie. She's probably not listening, but mad respect for her for sure. Rob, I haven't heard anything new on Rena O. Nothing new yet. But with that flashback episode, hopefully it brings her, to the front there where we can, keep her in the conversation, right? Because she certainly seems like somebody that needs to be looked into further. And you guys know how I am. I'm not somebody that's calling for vigilante justice. That's not me. I want a real look into this case. I want these people to be investigated the same way any of us would be. And I want a real, full investigation into all of it, how it went down, who was involved, and all of that jazz. Oh, I follow like 48 people on Twitter. I don't even bother with it because it's so much noise. I can't. If you guys don't tag me in something on Twitter, I don't even know that you're talking about me, to be honest with you. And besides like a few different people outside of this case, I don't follow like anyone on Twitter at all. I don't want to conversate with people like Laura Goldman or Marina O. I know my mouth, and it's best for me to avoid conversating with people like that in any capacity. Yeah, you got to get I hear that the bipedal serpent is going to wear a human onesie, so she looks like she's, not scaly, and she's going to be running around doing the cleaning in that. That whole situation with Rena O was weird, though, Rob. 100%. Like, talk about, like, left field coming out, the bondage situation, and there's just so many threads here that need to get pulled on. So many threads that need to get pulled on. Look, one thing I have learned recently is that there are some people with some serious issues mentally that need to get checked on. And I don't even say that jokingly. I'm not even saying that jokingly. There are some people that I see on Twitter that I'm truly concerned for. Like, is your life really that bad, or that you have to be this explosive at every moment of your life about everything? These people are like, I don't know. I just stay in my lane and avoid that nonsense, because who the hell needs these weirdos, tagging them in all kinds of nonsense? But Rena O, that lady is she's wild. That whole story's wild about her. And I think that she is somebody that's definitely, if she hasn't been spoken with by authorities, I think that she should be on the list. I don't know how she hasn't been spoken to. Just like that Gypsy Gita guy. Oh, JL, if she sent me a request to be on my podcast, I would accept in a New York minute. And then I would advise her to bring every single one of her lawyers, because she's going to need it. Then directly before that podcast, I would drink 3 bangs and have and one of those pre-workout pills. So I'd be all jazzed up like the Incredible Hulk, ready to go. She'd get on, I'd be foaming at the mouth. I'd look like Alex Jones when he's talking about, I am a gorilla, murder yourself. That'll be me, but I'll be foaming at the mouth. So she has to bring all of her friends, though. because it'll be 3 against 1 and I'll still be surrounding you guys. That's how fired up I'll be. Zero chance any of those people will ever sit down with me. Zero chance. I'm not your friend. I'm not a journalist. I'm just some loudmouth bearded dude from the east side of Las Vegas that has a few things to say to you. And they don't want that smoke from me. But boy, I dream about that, JL. There's no doubt. I dream about having a chance to have a conversation with these people. Oh, forget it, Tarnia. I would be speaking so fast that I would sound like, what's his name? The uncle from Jersey Shore, Uncle Nino, Vinny's uncle. That's what I would sound like with my New York Italian gibberish coming out. I'd be so upset and agitated. And that's what these people, I've never gotten so mad at people I don't know ever in my life. I'm not the kind of person that gets triggered, really. You know, there aren't many people in this world that can agitate me to the point of where I want to go bonkers. But all of these people involved with Jeffrey Epstein seem to fit the bill all of a sudden. No, they're not. They're paid for shills, Rob, 100%. Paid for shills. I do cook, Angela. I'm actually a pretty damn good cook, in fact. For New Year's Day, I cooked a pork roast, and I cooked a fantastic prime rib. And Italian food, forget it. I'll make a sauce, chicken parmesan. What do you want? Veal parmesan? You want some sausage and peppers? I got it all. But no, I love to cook. And when Carrie was working at the casino, I would cook every single night for her before she'd get home from work. Yeah, Italian food, American food, Mexican food. I know my way around the kitchen, that's for sure. The real reason is my parents moved to the Bahamas when I was younger. And I was forced to fend for myself as opposed to coming to my mom and dad's house to eat my mom's homemade cooking all the time. She moved to the Bahamas, my mom and dad. My dad got a job there. So I was forced to start cooking for myself. So, of course, I'm like, Mom, how do I cook some sauce? I'm dying away. So I started cooking then. And ever since, I've just, I've built on it. Like, Carrie is a personal trainer. So she's into like really healthy food. She counts macros and micros and makes me mental, right? I'm like, I need 3 Big Macs and let me get some chicken nuggets. But she's like macros and micros and the shape that this woman is in is insane. Yo, I got some Mountain House egg fried rice for when I go hiking and backpacking. You just open that bad boy up, a little boiling water, quick stir, zip back up, let that bad boy sit for 4 or 5 minutes. Chowskis. So good. I love egg fried rice. Fantastic stuff. Shit's expensive though. For one of those Mountain House freeze-dried meals, it's like $9. Oh, yeah, that Rena O lady, she's definitely batshit crazy. Zero doubt about it. I mean, look, I'm certainly not a psychologist, right? But I certainly know crazy when I see it. And that certainly is a brand of crazy that's coming screaming down the track. Yeah, you got to get a rice cooker, Sonia. I got one of those rice cookers, and I'm whipping stuff up in here like, I'm a chef of the future. I get to get that nice jasmine rice, the sticky rice. Oh my God, forget it. The only problem is I'm hungry 20 minutes later. So right back to the pasta. Never ends. Pasta, 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 pasta. If it wasn't for the 1,000 miles I do in the mountains on a weekly basis, I'd be a fat, sentient slob sitting here like this. Blah, blah. Pants not big enough to fit me. Oh, no, look, let me tell you what, Jen. You and Lisa totally have your finger on the pulse when it comes to that kind of stuff. When it comes to the digging around and getting down into the weeds and stuff like that, yeah, you and Lisa go hard in the paint. I love it. I really crack up when you two start going in on these people. And then the whole entire entertainment portion of it, it works perfectly for what you ladies do. Oh, no way. I can't make sticky rice without a rice cooker. Look, a guy got to know his limits, right? I can make pasta al dente Okay, no colander needed, no timer needed, none of that. But rice, forget about it. Without the rice cooker, no way. I'm in big trouble. I might as well get the microwavable rice. Yeah, and you and Lisa take a lot of flack for that too, Jen. You and Lisa get a lot of pushback from a lot of these knuckleheads. And it's comical at best for me, especially when they're like, "Oh, well, what about your little shitty podcast?" As if these people have ever accomplished anything in their lives, never mind putting together a successful podcast. These people are lucky they can pair their socks in the morning and tie their shoes. Yet they're running around talking about, "Oh, your shitty podcast." Shut up already. Total fugazi, Rob. Total fugazi. Donnie Brasco, Donnie the jeweler, not having it, okay? Yeah, you have to have a team when you're dealing with stuff the way you and Lisa do. I mean, when you guys engage with these people, forget it. They're going to definitely keep trolling and stuff like that. So I just shake my head with the nonsense. It's ridiculous. What's the point? You have all this time to waste. I mean, here's an idea. Do something productive. If you have all this time to criticize other people, do something productive. Yeah, I know. It's hilarious. And it's always the people that have never accomplished anything that are trying to shoot down the trailblazers, that are trying to stomp on other people for chasing their dreams or putting together a good idea and a good product that resonates with people. Me, I want everybody to succeed. Even those numbnut podcasts that 3 people listen to. Good for them. I hope that they all succeed and everybody gets their message out, right? But there's so many haters that it's not even funny. Yeah, you definitely don't want Amy Robach's team involved with anything, unless, of course, you're trying to keep shit squashed. Now, Weinstein should have had the producers from Robach's show. They would have helped him out a whole lot, I'm guessing. But that situation with Amy Robach was garbage. She should have had more courage. And that's the thing, too, with these people. They have no backbone, right? All of these journalists, they're so worried about losing their $9 million a year job. And I get it. That's a lot of money, man. And it's easy for me to say, "Oh, well, you're worried about losing your $9 million a year job," as I'm sitting here on my couch. But at some point, you have to have some backbone and you have to stand up for what you believe in. And you have to tell these people that, screw you. I'm not gonna tell the news the way you want me to tell it. That's for sure, Samantha. That's definitely it. I agree with you 100%. And it's this, you see it with any sort of content creation, be it music or YouTube videos about dogs. There's always a group of people that are ridiculous. The elites are the worst people literally in the history of the world. And it's not, I'm not talking about the cabal of elites that hang out at the Bilderberg meetings and shit. I'm talking about these bankers and the financial system that they all inhabit like a bunch of disgusting mites. The whole system is rigged. It's not 3 guys in a back room controlling everything. Oh, that's not what's happening. It's these idiots that put this financial system into place. And they just keep rolling and rolling and rolling and rolling throughout the centuries. The same scam. I think for Carrie, her favorite meal is tacos. So chicken tacos is the way to go for her. I'll marinate the chicken all day. There's some chipotle marinade I'll use. I'll marinate it all day. And then I'll use a skillet. Get the skillet really hot. And I'll grill it up in the skillet, kind of like out on the grill, but using the stove. And then she eats them with some special carb freaking shells that cost me $1 million, by the way. And that's her favorite meal in the world. She is a taco addict. Cindy McCain is just such a distasteful human being. Her husband was a distasteful human being. Her daughter is gross. The whole family's gross. They all knew. All of these people knew. Oh, look, I'm a meatitarian. Like, the only vegetables I get are my sauce, right? She's tacos is where it's at for her. She won't stop. She will not stop. What do you want to do? What do you want for dinner? I want tacos. What do you want for dinner? I want tacos. All right, I guess it's tacos tonight again. But lately, I haven't really been cooking lately, though. Since Carrie hasn't been working at the casino and she's only working at the gym, she's home by 11 or 12 o'clock every day. So her and I have been ordering in or making sandwiches, or she goes to this place called Foodie Fit, which they do like meal prep, and she loves their food. So she'll buy like a week's worth of food there, and she'll eat that while I shove disgusting food, like pizza, down my throat on a regular basis. I eat so unhealthy that it's not even funny. Although I don't drink soda or alcohol. Yeah, no soda. I haven't drank soda in close to 2 years now. Yep. Close to 2 years it's been. And I haven't looked back. I was drinking way too much soda. That stuff is so bad for you. So bad for you. So I just got a question here in my email. And the question has to do with Ghislaine Maxwell's conditions at the lockup. And if I think that her lawyers are being truthful. Nope. 100%, I do not think her lawyers are being truthful. I think that her conditions at the lockup are no different than anyone that would be in her situation's conditions would be. So no, I don't think she's being treated poorly. Ben Sass. Look, Ben Sass is a decent enough man, it would seem, right? A guy that seems like he wants to do the right thing. And my little sister is pretty, let's say, liberal, okay? Pretty liberal. But she also says that Ben Sass seems to be a decent man. So I'm not too good. I don't think he's a bad man, but I wish he would have done more. You know, if we can have all of these meetings, Rob, about steroids and all sorts of other ridiculous things in Congress, I think that something like this is much more important. And I think that they should make the effort to have a congressional hearing or these people in front of the Senate Judiciary Committee on this. But, you know, as far as do I trust the guy? No, I don't trust any of these incumbents. If I lived in Omaha, would I vote for him? No, I would not vote for him. And I certainly am not voting for any of the incumbents in Nevada either. So that's where I'm at. I feel like I can't trust any of these representatives in Washington. I wouldn't trust any of them with any of my personal life. And I certainly don't believe the bullshit that they pump at us on a regular basis. Yeah, hey, you know, Pop, I'll tell you, I don't drink just because I don't like the way it makes me feel. I like to be in control. I like to be able to drive. And when drinking obviously automatically negates that for me. So I just avoid it. Not my thing, really. You know, I do live in Vegas, and there are other things that are legal that I do not have an issue imbibing in, however. Yeah, Ghislaine Maxwell's legal team they're out to lunch. These people are just absolutely ridiculous, out to lunch. They have no idea how to approach this, in my opinion. You would think that they would have a serious strategy underway, but nope. Not going on right now, that's for sure. Oh yeah, no, Jen. When you're in town, I'll have a drink with you guys, no doubt about it, 100%. I'm not adverse to drinking. It's just not something that I do because I don't know. It's just not something that Carrie and I really do. I drank a lot when I was younger, in college and afterwards and stuff like that. But now I'm going to be 41 in March, so I really don't see the point of going out and getting absolutely smashed and acting like a fool. I could do that sober at home in my pajamas at this point, so. Yeah, that legal team it's a joke. I think that you're right, Jen. I think that Ghislaine Maxwell probably does have a very stern hand in her defense, and she is guiding these people and trying to point them in the direction that she wants them to go in, as opposed to just letting them do their thing. Oh, Angela, right across the street from my house. Absolutely a 1,000-foot walk. Hey, Jennifer, I think that the FBI does have some of those tapes. I don't know which ones they have. I don't know if we'll ever see them, but I think that some of them will be used to prosecute her. I think they have to be, especially if they go the RICO route. I think that'll definitely set the tone for it to be a RICO case if they have those videos, because they're going to be damning, right? And we know for a fact that videos exist. We know that for a fact. But like your question that you just posed, where are they? That's really what it comes down to. Where are they? And are we going to see them? So short answer, I wish I had a positive 100%, but I'm kind of split right now, and I'm not too sure if the public will ever see that. Hey, look, I'll tell you what, if they don't do the right thing in this case, I'm at the point where it's like Occupy Wall Street time. Civil disobedience sometimes is the only course. "100%, Tracy, you're spot on with that. They've been burned as assets, and they don't have the cover from the squids in the media anymore. Even the squids in the media are running for cover. They realize that there's no get back for them, right? There's no reciprocation. There's no more access to Prince Andrew or the royal families via Jeffrey Epstein or Ghislaine Maxwell. So that ship has sailed. And their pressure, like you were saying with Dershowitz, that's not going to work this time either, because people are hip to it. And I think that the prosecution is a lot stronger and a lot more willing to stand and fight than they were the first time around. Allison Moe is legit. I am not too sure I don't know if any current elected officials are in the crosshairs, but I have a funny feeling that Bill Richardson is one of them. As far as politicians in general, Bill Clinton is probably in the crosshairs. I wouldn't be surprised if there is some sniffing around Trump right now. Steve Mnuchin was in a known business deal with the Brunels. I covered that article. So I would think that those people right there most definitely are people that are of interest, who were in the government or who are in the government currently. Yeah, I wouldn't suggest anybody watch any videos that are released by any sources besides the authorities in a case like this. I mean, probably not a good idea. You don't know what you're accessing. And caution is always the best idea here, in my opinion. Yeah. Yeah, there's definitely some politicians of interest. And, Ehud Barak over in Israel most certainly fits the bill. Lang down in France, he fits the bill. And there's a couple of folks up in Norway that were caught up with Epstein, politically speaking. So I know that those are people that are foreigners, but that there is a lot of conversation going on right now between the different investigatory bodies. So I would think that as we move forward, we're going to see a lot more cooperation intercontinentally as this case grows and we see more people pulled in. And we know that's coming. We know that more people are going to be pulled in. We know that this is a huge conspiracy. It's just a matter of putting all the pieces in place now. And I'm pretty sure that's what the prosecution is working on as we speak. You would think, right? If they're doing their job, that's what they're doing right now. But I guess we'll see. That's quite possible. It's quite possible that the Bill Richardson angle is precluding the state authorities in New Mexico from really investigating what's going on here. Or maybe they have kicked all of the information to the feds. But I don't know. In my gut, I feel like something is just really wrong in New Mexico. And you hit the nail on the head. New Mexico is a pretty corrupt place for these politicians. You have the King family, who are really basically the kingmakers of the state. And then you have Bill Richardson, who is very well placed, right? Let's not forget he was supposed to be part of Obama's administration, and he had to step down in disgrace a couple of days after accepting the position. So Bill Richardson is a very well-connected man. He's very well placed within the Democratic establishment, and he most certainly is the kind of guy that can force the pressure for there not to be an investigation. Yeah, New Mexico is a wild place, Angela. It is most certainly one of the most wilder places that I have ever researched. And you start talking to the people there, and the source that I had down there, this person, he left the police force because it was so, according to this person, it was so corrupt. There you go. That's the person. Tara Reid Larson. I couldn't remember the name. We covered that article by, I forget the outlet, DW, something like that, the Norwegian outlet. And again, how many countries are there politicians that accepted Epstein money? How many countries are there that sent girls to the United States and elsewhere to be abused? And how many of these girls are unnamed? I know we talk about Virginia and Maria and Courtney and all of these girls quite a bit, but that's because they're the face of this. And for me, when I bring them up, they're a representation of the case as a whole, of all of the unnamed girls that we don't even know about. So these girls that have come forward and have decided to bring their names public and take the full brunt of this, they are the face of the movement. It's de facto that they're the face of this movement. And to me, when I, use them as an example, it's all of the girls and the unnamed girls that really bite at the back of my throat and deep down in my stomach, because we've never heard from them. What happened to them? Where are they? What's their lives like now? And we've never heard anything from any of them. So that really gets to me. Yeah, Angela Clemente is on it. She's definitely on it down there, and I don't know where that's going to end up, if there's legs there, if there's a connection there, but it has to be explored. One thing I have learned with this case is just about everything has to be explored in regards to this case. Because if I would have told you that there's a guy who is a rich so-called billionaire and his plan is to see the human population from his ranch down in New Mexico, and he's a transhumanist, you would think I was crazy, like Pop said. But here we are. And all of that shit ended up being true. So what else is true in this case? And that's why I just, I don't write anything off until a proper look has been given into whatever the subject is. Yeah, I think like 113 girls have applied to the fund, and we only have names for how many? So it's, there's a lot of unnamed girls that suffered at the hands of Jeffrey Epstein that they've never been represented in the public. They don't have any representation, or, their stories aren't out there. So they are represented in a de facto way by Virginia and Maria and Annie and Courtney and all of the other girls that have come out. As they should, Angela, right? If they feel like they want to be anonymous, then I'm happy for them. I think that as long as they feel like they've gotten a little bit of reparations for what they have went through and a bit of validation that what they're saying is true, then I think that is a very important part of this. And coming out public and all of that, I think that it's something should be left to these girls on an individual basis, right? Yeah, because at the end of the day, none of us are walking in their shoes. We don't know what they've been through and the burden that this has been for them to live with for all of these years. And I can't even imagine. The burden that they have lived with.
At Ease, we're all about calculating the best high for you. Ran out of shows to watch for the second time this week? Order an Indica pre-roll. Social distance park hang, pair that awkward picnic with a vaporizer. See, we're like your weed guy, but 420% nerdier. So just worry about when you're going to take that edible and let us do the rest. Ease, highly calculated cannabis delivery. Get 30% off your first order with promo code NERD at ease.com. That's EAZE.com. At Ease, we're all about calculating the best high for you. Ran out of shows to watch for the second time this week? Order an Indica pre-roll. Social distance park hang, pair that awkward picnic with a vaporizer. See, we're like your weed guy, but 420% nerdier. So just worry about when you're going to take that edible and let us do the rest. Ease, highly calculated cannabis delivery. Get 30% off your first order with promo code NERD at ease.com. That's EAZE.com.
Yeah, look, the Virgin Islands has been very proactive in this whole entire ordeal. And the way that they have conducted themselves, besides trying to make a bit of a cash grab, I think has really helped the case along. It's not every day that people like Leon Black are getting subpoenaed, right? It's a big deal. You send out a subpoena to Leon Black or Apollo Global or any of these other banks, and that's a pretty damn big deal. And the SDNY hasn't done it. The prosecutors in Florida haven't done it. But down in the Virgin Islands, she's passing that shit out like candy on Halloween. Yep, that's probably the best course, Jen. It's definitely a privacy issue, and you know me, I'm the same way. I roll the same way. I'm here to disseminate information about the case. When we start talking about like payouts and personal money, and that's between the lawyers, the survivors, and the estate. I don't think anyone's opinion really is valid in that regard, because it's not your dough, right? Yeah, I agree, Tarnia. It's just not our business, right? It's just when you start, cash is a real sensitive subject for people. If these survivors want to discuss what their payouts were and they're allowed to do that, then hey, whatever. I don't, really for me, as long as these people go to prison or at the very least, they're investigated and brought up on charges and there's a trial. That's what I'm looking for here. All that other stuff is fine and well, right? And I want every last dollar paid out to these girls. But really, when it comes down to it, there's nothing I can do about that. And my opinion ain't worth shit when it comes to how much money these girls are getting paid out. We don't know the circumstances. And I think with something like that, unless you know all of the circumstances, it's really not a place where I'm going to stick my ample nose. But the process, right? The process of how that money gets paid out, I think is important to discuss. I think it's important that it's done with respect, and I think it's important that those girls are treated properly. Yeah, they're setting themselves up for that criminal case, Jen. You know, they really want to get that criminal case kicked into gear, and they believe that they can leverage this Annie getting paid out into something in their criminal case. They think that the year is 1997 again or something. Times have changed. Jurors are going to come into that trial, and they're going to see all of these girls trotted out one after the other who were abused, allegedly, by Maxwell and these people. And these jurors are going to be like, are you fucking kidding me right now? These jurors with daughters of their own, nieces, granddaughters. And you think they're going to sit there and they're just going to be like, yeah, you know, I don't know. All of these girls are probably lying. It's a cash grab. Highly doubt it. I highly doubt it. And I think that once the jury gets their teeth into this and they see the evidence that has been built against Maxwell and company, I think that Ghislaine Maxwell's legal team will be falling all over themselves, hoping to try and get some sort of plea deal to make sure she doesn't do 175 years. Because I think that's what's coming for her. As you all know, I think that RICO charges are right around the corner. And Maxwell is in severe jeopardy of going away for a very long time. Yeah, I think that a lot of that's going to happen, Ellen. I think a lot of girls are going to come forward and provide testimony, even if they weren't being abused by Maxwell in the case that we're talking about. I think there's going to be a lot of that. And I think that it's going to be really bad news for Ghislaine Maxwell and her legal team. And that's why they're trying to get in front of that a little bit now by trying to taint Annie. Oh, no, I got what you meant, Rob. I know exactly what you're talking about, buddy. It's just, you know, I'm very cautious about things I look at on the internet. I certainly don't download anything. So when it comes to stuff like that, I have zero chance I'd be watching any sort of tapes. I mean, but I think what people are wondering is if we're going to see them in court, and I think we might. You know, Deirdre, that's pretty powerful stuff, and I wouldn't be shocked if we don't see things like that. As you well know, there's a unity amongst these ladies, and they have all really come around each other, and they've all really rallied around each other, and it's a pretty cool thing to see, right? This can't be easy, especially to deal with alone, and these girls have really come together, and they've built their own community to stand in place of a non-existent one up until this point. And it's pretty crazy to see how these girls have all really come together the way they have. This camera looks like it's a little out of focus here, huh? What's going on here? There we go. Technology's an MF. Yeah, so I definitely think that would be a very powerful thing to see, and I'm not privy to strategy or what the girls are thinking or anything like that. You know, I never even reached out to any of the survivors. Like Maria reached out to me. I don't tag any of them in any of my posts. They have enough going on, right? And for me, it's about the story for me. It's about making sure that people understand that the government shit the bed here, that the government helped in essence, Jeffrey Epstein get away with this? Yeah, and for a long time, a lot of them felt like it was their fault. Or like if they came forward, what happened during the original trial would happen again. So they're disheartened. How many times can you be screwed by the government and people who are supposed to protect you before you get disillusioned with the whole entire thing and say, to hell with it. I'm just going to try and live my life and pick up the pieces the best way I know how. And I think we saw a lot of that for decades with these girls. And then it happened, right? Social media, the perfect storm. And these girls snatched the narrative back and they took to social media and they brought their story to the people, to us, because they couldn't use the media to get that story out there. It really is, Jen. There's no doubt about it. These girls really stick together and it's really pleasant to see. Yeah, I mean, imagine how great it must feel for them to finally see the people who allegedly abused them facing some justice in a world filled with injustice. It must have been a really great feeling, because I know from somebody who's not even involved in this case, you all heard the jubilation in my voice when Maxwell was arrested. You all heard the episode. I popped a bottle of champagne on the episode, right? That's how excited I was. So I can only imagine how these girls felt, how excited they were, and how pumped they were that they were going to see some justice perhaps in this case. They definitely deserved it. 100%. Not even a question, Angela. Not even a question. Yeah, I think that when all is said and done, and this story is looked at in hindsight through a historical lens, I think a lot is going to be revealed about how things went, how things were, and how things ended up. And hopefully we're able to use that, and I say us, I mean we as a society, as a blueprint moving forward to make sure that we're conscious and we're aware and that this does not happen ever again. Because at the levels that this was occurring, I can't even begin to explain to you how disheartening it is to me. How disgusted it makes me. And I was already at the end of my rope when it comes to the institutions that are here to provide confidence in our society, such as the Justice Department. And this just launched me off the edge, the cliff. And I know that none of us are being represented right now. And it doesn't matter your political party. The zeros in your bank account, that's what matter. If there's not enough of those zeros, you're not invited to the party. And you can yell at your neighbor all you want. And you can yell at a random guy on Twitter all you want about Trump or about Biden. And it really doesn't matter because they look at us as we're all the same to them. So it's either stand our ground and realize what these people are up to and what they're doing, or we continue just to play ball. And I'm not willing to play ball anymore. And I don't care if I'm the only one standing up. I don't care if I'm like Jon Snow at the Battle of the Bastards, running out with the sword by myself and all the horses coming in. I've chosen my mountain to die on. I've chosen what's important to me in my life. And this is where I'm at. Yeah, Kellen in jail will be a fantastic day, in my opinion. Oh, the odds are pretty good, Rob. I think that Sarah Vickers Kellen is in severe jeopardy of going to prison. And you can always tell, in my opinion, what's coming down the road by reading in between the lines and what stories are coming out in the media. You know, you had Sarah Kellen's parents come out talking about how they feared that she was going to be the next one to go. Then the reports that Sarah Kellen Vickers was also a victim. And you see how it builds up, right? They try and get that profile built up so that when the eventual hammer comes smashing down, well, they already have it out there in the media. They already have their game plan going. But it's not going to work. The two-tier justice system is absolute garbage, Deirdre. Absolute garbage. I've seen it so many times. I'm from the inner city, and I've seen so many of my friends get screwed over. So many of my friends have their lives ruined. And don't get it twisted. I'm not saying that my friends didn't do anything wrong. They did. They deserve to be punished. But not the way that they were punished. Not have their home seized with their grandmother living in it, okay? That kind of shit doesn't sit well with me. And the brunt should not be put on the working class poor, on me and you. It's bullshit. And the two-tier justice system is one of the biggest problems. And Judge Nathan, like you said, she directly called it out. And I think that's a good step. Because we have to recognize that the system is set up to screw people like us. Judge Nathan has done really good work here, and I applaud how she has handled herself in this case. I think she understands the stakes, and I don't think she's going to let it be her courtroom where this snake slithers out of. Because Judge Nathan just doesn't seem like that kind of judge at this point. And usually I'd be for bail. Right? It's so funny that I find myself in this kind of position because I'm somebody who believes that the bail system needs to be reformed as well. But not for Ghislaine Maxwell and not for rich people. For us, normal people that go to jail. Look at the kid that sat at Rikers Island for all of those years. His name is escaping me now. Broward or whatever. No charge, no trial, nothing. Just sits in some jail on Rikers Island. But Ghislaine Maxwell is somebody I should be worried about because the guards pop in her cell every little while and take a look at what's going on. Just doesn't make no sense to me, folks. It does not make any sense to me whatsoever. So I don't know what to say about that kind of stuff, but I will tell you this. If we aren't the ones who start getting things together about fixing these things, then they're just going to stay broken forever. And we can complain about it. And we can, bitch and moan and get on the internet and throw a fit. But at the end of the day, we're the ones that elect these people. So the onus falls on us. And we have to elect good people, in my opinion. Yep, the way Nathan worded it was perfect. It was the same thing that we talked about leading up to it, right? There was nothing new. You didn't bring anything new to the table. So how could you expect the judge to grant your bail? There's nothing new here. You have no comorbidities, nothing going on in the prison that would lead us to think that you should get out. Your treatment isn't bad. What are you being treated like you're in a gulag? Maybe we should have your buddies from the UN come over and inspect things because, the people at the UN are all on the up and up. Yeah, Jen's letting loose right there in the comment section about Vickers, it looks like, and she's right. Vickers lived a very, very privileged life. I mean, from being treated like a queen, hanging out with Epstein, to marrying a NASCAR driver and having the world at her feet, traveling, hanging out in pit row, hanging out with this famous person, that famous person. But now all of a sudden her life has been so miserable and she was a victim. I don't buy it. I don't buy that shit one bit. And you're right. The adult thing is the biggest kicker for me. If you were an adult and you were caught up in this nonsense, don't you think after Epstein was arrested the first time, you would have been the first one showing up at the FBI's door talking about, hey, look, this is what happened to me. I was being abused by this son of a bitch. But no, they didn't do that. What's up, Lisa? But they didn't do that, right? They waited till now when the walls start to close in, when things really start to go south, and now that's the defense. Now I'm a victim. Now, oh, my life has been so shattered by my relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. It's so see-through and transparent. Yeah, very happy to take the money. You mean the $250,000 that they were getting? That no other assistant on Wall Street is even getting? But they're getting $250,000 for what? scheduling massages. It's such a joke. None of it makes sense. None of it passes the sniff test. And the fact that so many people just took it for its face value when it was happening is beyond the pale of ignorance. And all of these silly ass people who worked at the FBI or the state's prosecutor's office, who were obviously knowing what was going on, who didn't do anything or who worked with the prosecutors to help Epstein demean these girls, how these people have not faced any sort of repercussions is one of the most mind-boggling mysteries in the history of the world. Yeah, I think that even though she applied to the fund, I doubt that she's going to be accepted by the fund, right? We have to make sure we differentiate between the two. Just applying for it doesn't mean that you'll automatically get it. And I don't think that she will be accepted as one of the compensation survivors. And if she is, I think it'll cause an absolute shitstorm amongst the survivors. Oh yeah, they'll always claim poverty, right? They're all paupers. They all can't pay their bills. Oh, well, I don't have any money. Woe is me. Meanwhile, these people, like you're saying, are living in Soho and high rises, doing all kinds of remodeling sessions to their homes. But they're going to cry poverty to the rest of us. To those of us that are actually really feeling the pinch, they think that that's the proper strategy. Well, they're going to find a lot of deaf ears, I think. Yeah, the thing about her with compensation, it's just, I think it's a non-starter without any legs whatsoever. I think it's just another, like you were saying earlier, a way for her to get it out ahead of things. Oh, I'm a victim. I even applied to this fund. You should have some compassion for me during the trial. That's what I believe the strategy is here. Sarah Kellen was getting money from Jeffrey Epstein for sure. She was, there was, her and the core four, they were all pulling in that 250 G's for sure. That was their base salary. As far as anything else on top of that, I am not too sure, what else they were yanking in from other sources. Oh yeah, that's for sure. That was part of the hush money, Jen, for sure. That was all of them got paid off with that hush money. And that's another big ding on them, saying that they're part of the abused. These girls, they got that money as part of their package, their compensation package to protect Jeffrey Epstein's secrets. And in return, not only did they get the money, but they knew if they implicated Epstein, they'd be implicating themselves. And that's why these criminal enterprises are so well-oiled, right? And why so many people use the same tactics, because it works. And unless you use RICO to unravel it, it's very, very difficult to smash out a criminal enterprise like this. Yeah, no, I think that there will be those RICO charges very soon. When? I don't know. I can't really speculate on exactly when those RICO charges will come, but very soon, in my opinion. Very, very soon. Because we're getting close to the end game. Soon it'll be July. Before we know it, it's going to be July. And, once that comes rolling around and she's on trial, and I think that this thing is going to grow exponentially before that point. When exactly? I don't know. I think that they will be arrested before the trial, Rob. And I think that what they'll do is they'll use the core four as leverage. They'll have them all turning on each other, right? And whoever provides the most usable evidence, the most usable story, will be the one that catches some kind of deal. Now, I don't know exactly what the deal is going to look like, right? They're going to do jail time no matter what. Whoever deals is going to do jail time. But I think we'll see something perhaps where instead of a life sentence, maybe somebody rats somebody else out and they're up for parole in 20 or so. Something like that, maybe. Again, I'm not a lawyer and I don't have any evidence to back that opinion up, but I do think that that's where we're headed and that will be their strategy. You know, Ghislaine Maxwell is really up against it. Like we were talking about, she has all of these girls that are going to be witnesses against her. And then if you have witnesses who turned state's evidence, who worked with her committing these crimes, oh, it's a slam dunk. That's how they get the mafia. That they break up the mafia without the witnesses, even the direct witnesses, who the crimes were committed against. And they just get them on the word of other mafioso who flip. So it's a very powerful tool for the feds, and it's something that I really think we'll see them utilize. Yeah, she sure did, Jen, and it was because she sees the writing on the wall, right? She knows what's coming, and she's trying to protect her assets. Yeah, definitely lieutenants. Definitely. These people, they all had a job, right? Everybody had their role, and they all did their job to a T to make sure that this enterprise was able to roll along and chug along for as long as it did. So we're at a point here, folks, where things are starting to move. We're going to see things start to pick up. And we haven't really had much news in the last few days, right? It's been pretty dead. Pretty slow news days as far as Epstein goes. But you know that those kind of lulls are always followed by a ton of news. So I expect this week for us to get just smashed. Yeah, Jen, what they'll do is they'll report it as their own story in like 4 months. That's what they always do. It's like they listen to independent content creators and they hear what they're chasing down and what leads they're on. And then in 6 or 8 months or 4 months or whatever, they run the story like it's their own. It's their favorite trick. It's their favorite move these days. And you see, the funny thing is, too, one outlet writes a story, and then everyone jumps on that one story. And they all write it their own way, right? And a couple different things changed, but it's all the same BS story. And that's just the laziness of the legacy media at this point. Very few people are digging into their own stories. Very few people, in this case especially, are, procuring their own leads and their own sources. And one of the people that has been doing that definitely has been doing a good job at that, is Chris Spargo down at OK. He's been doing a really, really good job, actually. So hopefully we get more people, as far as independent journalists who have some integrity, who want to look into this case, because that's definitely what's needed. I don't even bother with it. I just keep it moving. I'm just like, whatever, man. For me, as long as this story gets out. As long as this story gets out and people are hearing the truth and people are understanding what really went on, that's really all we can ask for. Because once people hear this story, they're going to demand that action be taken. I don't think it has enough teeth, Deirdre. Not yet, but I think it's a good start. It's definitely a good start. You know how I feel about the financial world, and you know how I feel about these snakes that inhabit it. So anything to get a foot in the door for more regulation for these people is a good start. Now, again, does Biden have the stones to go through and really hammer these people? I have a hard time believing he's going to do that, considering all the banksters that work with him, considering all of the people from the CFR that are part of his administration. So I'm in a show me mode for 46 and his people as far as holding people to account for this sort of financial scumbaggery. So we'll see, but I'm pretty cynical, to be honest with you. Yeah, look, bankers are a big problem, and every single elected official that we send to Washington, D.C. as the president is surrounded by people from places like J.P. Morgan and Chase and people like Janet Yellen. These people are not good people. They don't care about the rest of us. They're not good people. Just go and look at your 26% finance charge on your credit card if you think these are good people. How many of them have called you during the pandemic to, tell you to, don't worry about paying your bills. Don't worry about it. But nope. They don't care about you. They don't give a damn about any of us. So these are the real people that are the problem, and they're surrounding Joe Biden everywhere. His administration is infested with these people. So why would I think that they're going to go after their friends in the financial industry? We'll see. We will see. Just like with Trump. Like the lack of pursuit of people involved in money crimes is just absurd. Absolutely absurd. And I blame a lot of that on people like Steve Mnuchin and Jared Kushner, who are really pulling the strings when it comes to this kind of stuff. And I mean, anyone who thinks that they can trust a guy like Steve Mnuchin is really reaching, because the man is not trustworthy. He was in bed with the Brunels, and Lord knows what other kind of nonsense this guy has been up to in his life. So, I don't know, folks, but what I will tell you is this. Every Sunday, we're going to keep doing this. This is a good, informative, fun time, and I think that there's a lot of great information added, even in the comments. Just take a look at the comments, the things that are rolling. Maybe if you're not too familiar with the case, you might pick up something in here that you didn't know before. And now you run off with it on your own and you're doing some research, and before you know it, you're saying to yourself, holy shit, what in the hell is going on here? So every Sunday, we're going to be here, 7 p.m. And what I'm going to do, though, is one Sunday a month, we're going to do an afternoon live stream. So folks in places like London and, England, it's not 3 a.m. for them. We give them a chance to participate as well. I want to engage with everybody. I want everybody to be involved and just keep on going with throwing ideas out there, talking to each other, engaging, because this is how we truly get to the bottom of something like this. If we all stay engaged and we all keep in contact, and my advice would be try and keep the fighting on places like Twitter to a minimum, like arguing with other people, and it's just not worth it, right? It takes away from what we're trying to do here. So I would urge all of you to just let those people show themselves for the type of idiots they are, and you just keep on doing what you're doing and interacting with people who are giving you good, positive discourse where we're learning something. That's what I want to do. Every time I have a conversation, I want to learn some shit. So that's what we're going to do here on Sundays. We're going to make sure that we're all working together and learning and throwing shit, at the wall. And hopefully one of these days we'll get together here on a Sunday and this trial will be over. There'll be convictions and we'll be sitting here. I'll crack a bottle even though I don't drink. I'll catch a nice buzz here on the podcast. We'll also throw a couple of other adult type of not beverages, but you get my drift, Las Vegas type deals in the air, and we'll have ourselves a real celebration right here on the Jeffrey Epstein Show. But until then, every Sunday, folks, 7 p.m., thank you guys for joining me. We're sitting at 2 hours and 10 minutes on this marathon episode. So I appreciate everybody hanging out. I appreciate you all engaging and, talking about the case with me. And look, thank you, honestly. 2 hours of your time to sit here talking to my moronic ass, that says a lot. So again, I appreciate you all so much. And next Sunday, we'll do it again. But obviously tomorrow morning, I'll be back with a morning update and we'll keep this train rolling, guys. We'll just keep it rolling. So thank you guys. And I will talk to you all later on tonight and tomorrow. Most importantly, be kind. All right, folks, I will catch you all in the morning. Thanks for sticking with me.
At Ease, we're all about calculating the best high for you. Ran out of shows to watch for the second time this week? Order an Indica pre-roll. Social distance park hang, pair that awkward picnic with a vaporizer. See, we're like your weed guy, but 420% nerdier. So just worry about when you're going to take that edible and let us do the rest. Ease, highly calculated cannabis delivery. Get 30% off your first order with promo code NERD at ease.com. That's EAZE.com.
Fact: 3 billion of us worldwide depend on seafood as a key source of protein. And yet, overfishing is the #1 threat to our ocean. Sorry, 3 billion people. How about switching your fish night to something sustainable? Try Good Catch Foods for 100% plant-based seafood that is truly off the hook. Saving the ocean feels good, and the taste, delicious. Go to goodcatchfoods.com to learn more or shop online.